There you go. I know I did it correctly. So hi everyone, happy October 18th. Can't believe it's we're barreling towards the end of 2022. It's great to see you all here. I'm Angie Gaspar Milanovic, and I'm the Director of Grants and Professional Development. We are so excited that you have joined us today to have an opportunity to connect with LA Tourism, Discover Los Angeles, both to get an overview of the landscape, what's happening, as well as a refresher course tutorial as you get back to live events on how to share events. And so with that, I will pass it over to Kristin Sakoda, our director.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you still hear me okay, Angie? Okay, phenomenal. Yes. I expected to be able to join you more from the confines of an office and a desktop, but this morning I was presenting to the LA County Board of Supervisors on our forthcoming recovery initiative that you'll be hearing about soon, Creative Recovery LA, funded by the American Rescue Plan. So I'm calling in just to briefly say hello. I want to share and lift up that one element of the forthcoming recovery initiative will be our hope to support your marketing efforts as part of the grant opportunities. So take advantage of today's session, learning and hearing from our colleagues at LA Tourism, as well as how the Discover LA platform can amplify your efforts. We believe in you. We know that your work is critical to all of our communities. And we know also how much arts and culture helps everybody heal and supports our social recovery, our creative recovery, as well as our economic recovery. So I hope you have a great session. We hope it's useful for you, and we're open to any feedback you might provide. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Angie, and then she'll introduce the colleagues from LA Tourism. So, bye.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Kristin. Our first speaker is Don. He is the Chief Marketing Officer for the LA Tourism Board, and he has a presentation to share as well.
Thank you, Kristin, and thank you, Angie. I am going to hopefully share the screen here. Can everyone see that? The screen, did it pop up properly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, looks great.
Okay, so after me, Shelley's going to walk through the mechanics. We have 3 feeds on our website calendar. One is Ticketmaster, one is AXS.com, and one is Experience LA, and that's you guys. And so Shelley's going to do a tutorial on how do you load, whether you have a new exhibit, if you have events at your venue. So Shelley's going to go through that. But Kristin and Angie said, Don, can you provide an overview or some context to what a tourism office is? So that's what I'm going to do in about the next 15 minutes. And I'm going to try to go quickly enough so we have time if you guys have any questions as well. So first, just a little, okay, that didn't want to advance. Hold on for a sec. There we go. Just a little bit of history about our organization. Just about every major city in the United States has a tourism office, but we're all set up just a little bit differently. When I came on board 11 years ago, we ranked about number 20 as a tourism office in terms of the funding that we had. We're now number 3 behind Las Vegas and Orlando. We're about 50% bigger than New York City. We're about 50% bigger than Chicago as well. And I'll get into how that funding is set up in a moment. But we're about a little over 100 years old unofficially. We started in 1921, and that was called the All Year Club of Southern California. Some very prominent business people realized that you could drive your economy by trying to attract tourists to Southern California. In 1967, that was changed to Southern California Visitor Council. Again, wasn't necessarily official until 1976, when we became the Greater Los Angeles Visitor and Convention Board, which is known today as the Los Angeles Tourism and Convention Board. So that's when the city said, you are now official. You are our official tourism arm of the city of Los Angeles. We are a nonprofit 501c6, not a C3. A C6 means that we're a member-based organization. We have right now about 1,100 member businesses that pay in to be part of our organization. From a funding standpoint, the easiest way to explain this is when you guys book your hotel, and this is pretty much anywhere, when you book your hotel and say, wow, I booked online and it was $199 a night. Then you go to check out and you say, well, it was more like $256 a night. The reason why is because most cities will charge, they call it TOT, or a transient occupancy tax. And what that is most cities kind of wised up and said, if we have tourists coming in and they're using our streets, our infrastructure, our police, our EMTs, our fire departments, we're going to tax them. And so that they, if they're going to use our services. The TOT, or transient occupancy tax collection, for every night you stay in a hotel is 14%. They will add 14% to your hotel bill. And that has been around for now probably better part of 30 years. So that's why you see your hotel bill is much higher than you would expect. I'll come back in a second to how they carve up those 14 percentage points. Also, in 2011, right when I came on board, the hospitality industry, the hotels, decided we're going to put together a second assessment on the hotel bill. And we call that the Tourism Marketing District, or TMD. This isn't a tax. If it was a tax, it would have to be passed by voter referendum. So instead, they all agreed to self-assess. So it's a self-assessment, not a tax. And that is 2% on top of the 14%. So you add 16% in taxes to a hotel bill. And that really isn't any different than any other major city. We're in the middle of the pack. Some cities are as high as 18 or 19%. On the low end, they might be about 13 or 14%. We're right in the middle. And then finally, in 2013, the mayor's office decided, you know what, we'd like to have a deputy mayor providing some oversight to this tourism organization. And that's when they created the city's Convention and Tourism Development, or CTD, organization. That's a deputy mayor by the name of Doan Liu. So we work very closely with Doan and partner with the city, although we are not a city organization. We're an independent 501c6 organization. In terms of our stakeholders and how we're funded, we're in the middle, and I'll talk in a moment about our board of directors and our governance. But we get funding from 4 sources. I'm going to start up top. That's the city of LA, and that's the TOT tax through the CTD that I just mentioned, the 14 percentage points. Then going to the right, the Tourism Marketing District, and that's 2 percentage points. Then down below are 1,100 businesses, and there are sliding scales based on sector on how much people will pay to be a member. So I want to give 2 examples. A large hotel with 1,000 rooms, they may pay a $30,000 membership fee annually. All of our art and culture nonprofits pay $800 to be a member. So because your nonprofits, a typical membership would start at about $1,000 to $1,200. Because you're a nonprofit, we lower that to $800. And then finally, on the left here is LAWA, and we have been the agency of record for international air service and marketing for about 25 years now. They do a 3-year RFP, and we win it every year just because we're really good at what we do. But that's a source of revenue for us as well. Visitation, I want to talk about pre-COVID and coming out of COVID. I don't know if I should call it post-COVID, but coming out of COVID. And our fiscal year that starts July 1st, and 2019, we hit our 9th consecutive year of record-breaking attendance, and we hit 50.3 million. In 2014, we set a goal to hit 50 million by 2020, and we did that 18 months early. We hit our goal 18 months early, and we hit the 50.3. Post-COVID, where are we right now? We just started our July 1st fiscal 23 year, and we're at 48.8 million visitors that we're anticipating for this year. So that's a 97% recovery to where we were before COVID. So we're coming back very, very quickly. And the next year that would start next July, that would be FY24, we'll be at 52.5 million visitors. So we'll be 5% higher than our record year before COVID. So we're coming back really, really quickly. What does this mean in terms of the economic impact and direct spending? People are shocked when we share the news that direct tourism spending, when you stay in a hotel, we don't include airfare because that's booked from where you're coming from, but we include hotel, theme parks, if museums have ticket prices, restaurants, retail. It is, this past year was a $24.4 billion economy. So it's really, really big. If you add on the trickle down effect, which would be, I went to a restaurant, I tipped a waiter or waitress, that waiter or waitress then went out and spent their money. That's the trickle down to get to economic impact. And that is an impact of 36.6 billion for the county of Los Angeles. The tourism sector, leisure and hospitality, is one of the largest employment sectors in LA. It's over 500,000 jobs. You can see here 502,000 jobs, but we've really struggled, particularly hotels and restaurants. This would probably be true of art and culture museums, really struggled to bring back the workforce. So we're still about 7% under where our total employment was pre-COVID in 2019. But we're catching up slowly but surely. We expect to generate, and this TOT tax that would go to the city's general fund, this year, we expect to collect $263 million, which is essentially a check that we give to Mayor Garcetti. And because of that, if you're a homeowner in Los Angeles, your property taxes would be about $900 higher per resident if we did not provide the mayor with this taxable fund from visitors coming into Los Angeles. Hope that all makes sense. International markets, they're our most valuable visitors. They stay longer and they spend more. So I wanted to show you guys our top 12 markets here. Mexico being the biggest because they're so close to us. They are 1.7 million visitors per year. They peaked in 2019 at 1.8 million. So we're almost fully recovered in Mexico. China has been devastated. This year we'll have 350,000 Chinese visitors. We peaked in 2019 at 1.2 million. Part of what drives that is air service. In 2019, we had 111 weekly direct flights out of China. Right now we have 7. We went from 111 direct flights down to 7. And there, as you guys see in the press, there are a lot of geopolitical tensions. So China, we're in for the long game here, but it's going to take several years for China to come back. So then that makes Canada now our second largest market. They peaked in 2019 at 780,000. They're currently at 670. Australia, UK follow. Japan would be our about 6th or 7th largest market. Japan's interesting because we get a lot of independent business travelers. There's so much Japan economy, whether it's banking or entertainment or through various industries, that they aren't necessarily all leisure travelers or group travelers. There's a lot of independent business travelers, like people in the entertainment industry or lawyers that have to come in, and those are non-marketable visitors. We can't control that. They come here for meetings when they have to come here. South Korea peaked at 330, they're at 190,000, but their air service is now almost fully recovered in 2019. So we see a lot of growth coming back pretty quickly in South Korea. France and Germany are doing extraordinarily well. There is this love affair between France and Los Angeles. We've never been able to put our finger on it, but the French really love coming to Southern California. Germany is behind France, but we do quite well with Germany as well. Scandinavia is more of a secondary market, and that is a cluster of Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Denmark, the 4 of those together. but we're seeing some air service, additional air service coming out of Scandinavia. Middle East is an interesting market. Although it's small there, 80,000, they peaked at 140,000. When they come, they will normally stay 30 days or more, and they travel quite well. They bring entourages, they spend a great deal of money. So they're very valuable customers, although they're not one of the bigger ones. And then finally, India continues to emerge. Some of our staff, marketing staff, are at a trade show called World Roots that happens annually. It's in Las Vegas this year. We're hoping that we might get the announcement of direct service out of Delhi and Mumbai through Air India. That really makes a difference when people don't have to connect through Frankfurt or London or through another airport. So those are our top markets. If you add them up, these markets coming in through LAX, just these 12 countries or 12 markets make up 83% of the total international travel. So there's a real 80-20 rule here. In terms of our governance, so the purpose is the board oversees establishing policies, carrying out our mission, and we currently have 44 directors at large. We have an executive committee that meets more frequently, that is composed of all the officers, and our bylaws allow us to go to 45 directors. Of those, we have about 22 that are within the hotel community. We have 22 that would be other endemic tourism partners. Our vision here is Los Angeles is the most diverse, innovative, inclusive, entertaining, and accessible destination in the world. Our mission is to advance our economy. What we want to do is we want to make Los Angeles the #1 destination in the world to elevate our economy. The customer value proposition for our organization is we're the go-to experts, and we really are. We've got a sales department, marketing department. We are a nonprofit, but we act, I think, more like a for-profit in terms of trying to attract more visitation. Strategic mandates. #1 is to maximize the benefits of tourism of the Los Angeles economy. We've never been challenged on that. It continues to grow. COVID was a setback for us. #2 is to play a leadership role in shaping the long-term evolution. So we'll work very closely with the mayor's office as it relates to more of the guest experience and infrastructure. We're a sales and marketing organization, but we'll team with the mayor's office as it relates to things like the development of public transportation, the remodeling of the airport, et cetera. And then #3, continue to be a performance-driven organization. So we really look very closely at metrics to be a fact-based decision-making organization. We are unique, the LA Tourism Office. There's no other tourism office in the US that has full-time employees overseas. We have offices in the UK, in London, in Sydney, and Mumbai. We have 4 offices in China: Beijing, Shanghai, Chengdu, and Guangzhou. It's likely we'll open an office in Mexico City in the near future. And then the rest of the ones on the list here, we use what they call market representation to represent us in those markets to drive people into Los Angeles. Here's a breakdown of our membership, the 1,100 member organizations, and you can see hotels make up the largest share at 25%, followed by restaurants, and then we get into a smattering of all the different tourism sectors. And I think that is my update for you guys, just so you have a sense of who we are as an organization. And I can take a couple questions if people have any questions.
Thank you so much, Don, for your presentation. Really informative, and also just seeing kind of geopolitical effects on tourism in LA apart from and in addition to the pandemic. Are there any questions for Don? Okay. You answered every single question everybody had. So thank you so much, Don. We really appreciate your time. And we are going to move on with oh, Kyle. Kyle, is that a thank you or a question? I see.
Oh, sorry, that's a thank you. That's clapping.
So thank
Great
you.
presentation. It was really helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. And if you do have any questions, you can also, Dawn is going to have to jump off of this webinar, but you can put them in the chat and we can certainly get them to LA Tourism to get responses back. So with that, we're now going to introduce Shelley Leopold, also with LA Tourism. She's the creative director of the LA Tourism Board. And she's going to give you an overview on how you can load your events and exhibits to discover Los Angeles. This is what feeds the LA Tourism website calendar. So for some, it may be a refresher. For others, just with all of the staff transitions at arts organizations, it may be you who is tasked with doing this. So Shelley, welcome.
Thank you. I am having some intermittent internet issues, so I'm going to turn my camera off while I do this for you in hopes that that helps. But yay, construction in Hollywood. And I will share my screen. It's a fairly simple process as well. Hopefully you can see that. Angie, are we good?
Yeah, looks good, Shelley.
All right. So first things first, how do you get to this screen? This is what I call the table of contents, and it's available right off the home screen. So let me walk back a few steps here. See if that works. All right, so here's our, what you get when you come to our website. All the content is here, and shortcut to the events is this little hamburger up here on the left. And it brings you to the table of contents, find events. It's thinking. All right, here's the events page. I'm already signed in, so this is why my screen looks a bit different than what you will see. What it's going to ask you for when you go to add an event, it'll ask you to sign in or create an account. Create an account, you'll need your email address and your name. We don't do anything with this information. We don't add you to any emails you don't want. It's just basically a way for you to keep track of the events that you're adding. So it's a good thing. Press this black button here that says add event. And you'll get this screen. Title your event, add your description, your dates, blah, blah, blah. What's really helpful here is if you have an existing press release. So have that ready. I pulled one that I had from this awesome event last week from Beyond the Streets. So let's steal some info from that, copy and paste. And it's best to put it in a program like Text Edit to remove all the sometimes crazy formatting, because sometimes that will inhibit your successful listing. So let's call this Beyond the Streets test. Paste the description. Start date. That's self-explanatory. Let's put something. Oops, not that. Start time. Now, if you have an event that's longer than one day, like an art opening or something with an extensive calendar, unfortunately, you can only add one date at a time. So if you have a long-standing event that runs a few weeks or a month, maybe just enter your highlights if you have like programming, and just indicate in the description that it's an ongoing event. And we will definitely, if this isn't indicated, we will post it as an opening day. But if you want more than one day listed, you have to enter it separately. As we ran into problems with this function otherwise. But Beyond the Streets will run just for today, for an hour. Event location. Add location, there's a ton of spots already entered in here. So if your event is at, say, the Ace Hotel, you're not going to have to add it from scratch. It's going to be in here. Beyond the Streets is in here. So let's see what that looks like. You'll see a couple different search selections. Pick the one we want, press find. And it'll come up. Press the correct location. In this case, it's on La Brea. Submit. Here's a box we added courtesy of the COVID pandemic. This is a virtual event. So if it is virtual and not in person, you can click this box and then you won't need the location. It'll indicate in the listing that it's virtual. Adding media. This is a little tricky, as you might know if you've tried to do it and not become frustrated. Remove this. This is a placeholder photo, which if you like it, you can keep it, but if you have one for your event, remove it. Add images. It'll give you a note here. Horizontal works best. Center, if your flyer or anything has type on it, hopefully the type is centered because the site is mobile responsive, which means, you know, images move all over the place sometimes and get cropped weird. So horizontal images that are 1600 by 1200 under 2 megs work best. So let's add one. Choose file, downloads. Let's try this. All right, so it comes up, that shows you that it was accepted. Alternative text. You can kind of cheat this if you want. You don't, I mean, it helps your SEO sometimes, but you can kind of cheat it if you're in a hurry. It doesn't move the needle. Submit image. And then below it, it'll give you the option to add a video. You can add a video, however, it will override your image you just put in, but I can show you how to do that. It's very easy. However, your videos need to be uploaded to YouTube first, so you can steal the YouTube link. And let's see. I'm going to Discover LA's YouTube channel. We'll take the link to our amazing Nipsey Hussle video. You'll find it in the share button. Just copy this. Put it here. Submit video. And that'll show you that it's here. Website, again, you know, find this from your trusty press release that you have handy. Ticket admission price. You can fill this in for whatever it is. This one was free in the category. Whatever. It's family. Got a lot of tags here. If you don't see your tag, let me know and we will consider adding it. I think that most of them can be found here, and then you save. Oops. All right. Let's find one with an HTTPS. That's probably the issue. So make sure this is here and save. All right. Here we are, looking to see that everything primary image. Well, we have that. Let's try again. Has a handy dandy, only 7 steps that you can look at and follow along. It is a little bit of trial and error as you're watching me do it as well. Always save your work, and I will show you in a minute how advantageous that is, because you can come back and fix it. If you change your dates, if you add talent to something, it's easy to fix on your own without having to email us to do it, unless it's already published. Okay, so here we are. The screen will come up when you're done submitting your event. And here is the advantage of having an account, because you can view your submitted events. There's a lot of times, if you're like me, you're doing more than one at once. And so here is where they'll be listed. The status is draft because it hasn't been approved by the calendar editor. Please allow 72 hours for Danny to get to it. He'll check out that, there's no crazy information or, something wrong with it, and he will publish it. You can also look at it here, which we'll do in a second, but here is a good thing to see. If you want to go in and change the information, here's where you do it. If you want to delete it, here's where you do it. The clone button, I would not recommend. That causes a lot of issues in the back end, something we're working on in Translate. That is for our international audience, and I would not press that button either. So the 2 things that would concern you are edit and delete. And here's where you can see what your listing will look like when it's published. Here's where the picture comes in. You can see your information here. Here's where your website will link to. This is where, someone reading this can add to their own calendar, and here's how you get to it using Metro. So here's the video. Like I said, the videos override the flyer images, the static images. So and be thoughtful in which you want to use. And that's all there is really to it. So now stop sharing and ask if there's any questions.
Thank you, Shelley. And Shelley also shared a PDF with step-by-step instructions. So we'll email everyone who's on this call, and it's also going to be posted on our website. Are there any questions coming up for you on how to post events? And Shelley, thank you for sharing. It takes about 72 hours to have some time as you're planning to post events, that it is not immediate. There is a person reviewing to make sure everything is good to go. And
yes, and I will add, well, even though it's a little bit of a, takes a bit of time, it is worth it, because at the very least, it improves your events Google status, like it'll move it up on Google's little SEO list. And so it's worth doing just for that. I mean, the events web pages are most visited in the entire site that includes 10,000 other articles of content, but the events are the most popular. So it is worth it, and I hope you'll try it.
Oh, Shelley, I have a question. I know mostly, it's predominantly in English, but for folks that are doing a bilingual event or, working with another community, another language, does the format accept multiple languages if you have it in the body of the text?
Yes, it will. The only problematic thing is that translate button, which I would not try even as myself to do. We have, like, Don mentioned, we have offices in all the countries, and we do translate all of our content into other languages. But if there is a bilingual event, just simply enter it into the description as the language you wish, and it should work fine. It won't zap you.
Okay, great. And then, so once something is published and say, you're extending it, something changes, then you can't go in once it's been published to make that change. You have to contact someone at your office for assistance. Okay.
Yes, that's the best course of action. It doesn't happen often, and hopefully it won't for everyone, but yeah, we can step in and either unpublish it so you can correct it yourself, or we'll do it for you when you send it the information. And I left you with a pro tip sheet as well with your PDF, and you can email that email address. I believe it's calendar@discoverlosangeles.com with any issues, questions.
And thank you. And just confirming for a long time, it used to be a requirement, an OG for grantees of the organizational grant program, that you had to post on Discover Los Angeles on the website and share that link with us. We've now moved to we highly, highly recommend that you share any public events on this site, both as as the strongest regional calendar we have currently. But I just want to make sure folks understand moving forward, it is not a requirement, but we hope that you will continue to share any events that are open to the public on the website. It does, as Don shared, how many folks are visiting from around the world, but also for Angelinos that are using this resource as well. Are there, oh, go ahead, Shelley.
Yeah, Discover LA staff uses it as well to gather information for our social channels as well. So, that's how events get featured on our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. So if you've seen that come through and be like, hey, how does that person get on there? That's how they're on our calendar. So
that's also a really helpful tip. Are there any questions for Shelley at this point?
How do you recommend posting installations? Because I went on to do the event steps that were just gone over in this webinar, and it says that multi-day events are not able to be posted, and the same thing, it has to be separate posts. But I also see other exhibitions listed on the main page. Is there a separate submission process for those?
Well, that was probably someone who went in and made a post for every day, if you're seeing it multiple times, or it came in through an RSS feed. And I have to say that's problematic, and those get taken down because it just kind of fills up the calendar with days and shoves everybody else off the top, which is not fair. So like I mentioned, the multiple day, you can't just post it once and expect it to kind of travel in. It doesn't, sometimes it works to our disadvantage, but when it doesn't work, you'll kind of get booted off the system if you try it. So it's just post definitely opening day of your exhibit, And then if you want, you can, make a separate post for each day of the exhibit, like if it's a week or something and you've got programmed events, but I would keep it to, kind of milestones of the course of the exhibit. And just indicate that it runs weekly, it runs every day, it's only on weekends, whatever that is in the description.
Great, thank you. Any other questions for Shelley? All right, well, Shelley, thank you so much for doing a refresher tutorial, walking us through how to post an event. And as I shared, I'll send out this PDF with step-by-step instructions, and then we're going to post the webinar as well as the PDF and have that as a resource on our website that you can always refer back to as needed. So thank you everyone for joining us today. It's really great to see you, and I use the site a lot. I love seeing what is on there, what our grantees are doing. So I hope that you will continue to use it, and please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. So thanks very much. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.